In 20 years now of doing research into B2B buying, selling, marketing, commerce, there's one particular question, one particular challenge I still think I've never really fully figured out how to crack because it's actually really, really hard. And it comes back to this question, whether it's Challenger or frame making or any of the work I'm talking about now, helping customers feel more confident about the decisions they're making. I often have gotten the question over the years, and rightly so, around, okay, what happens, Brent, if I challenge customers' thinking, if I create a framework for them to feel more confident in making those decisions, and they take that confidence, they take that insight, and they ultimately choose to buy from the competition. Well, what about that? And I said, well, I'd agree that's a bad place to be. We have a name for that. In fact, we call that free consulting. And the question becomes, how do we avoid the free consulting trap such that I help customers make a better, easier decision for someone other than my own company? And the sort of almost directly logical answer to that question, it's hard to sort of argue with, is, well, we have to make sure that whatever we teach our customers about their business, however we challenge our customers about their business, however we frame their thinking about their business and help them feel more confident, whatever we do, it ultimately needs to lead back to our unique strengths. Logically true, right? But that's where things get hard, because that's the tough question, which is the follow-on question. Okay, got it. Makes sense. So what exactly are our unique strengths? And in all the years of doing this, I've been kind of amazed and really humbled by just how incredibly difficult it is to answer that question for the vast majority of companies. Truly, what are our unique strengths? Because the question here isn't, what is your company good at? That's a relatively easy thing to figure out. In other words, if I gave you and your team a blank sheet of paper and said, just list all the things that your company is particularly good at, hopefully there'd be a long list. But then if I ask a follow-on question, okay, of all those things that your company is particularly good at, what are the things that you are distinctly and uniquely good at such that no one else has that you're uniquely good at? And that's where things get hard. Because no matter how world-class your company may be, chances are pretty good that you're up against some pretty world-class competition. All of us have a competitor, and all of those competitors are at least pretty decent at most of the same sorts of things. Otherwise, they wouldn't be in business. So now we have to figure out, right, what truly sets us apart. And that's where we say, well, the quality of our products or the fantastic people we have at our organization, that's where things get really vague really fast and also really kind of difficult. And I think a lot of us don't like to answer this question because it frankly makes you squirm a little bit, right? Because what if there are no things that truly set us apart and make us unique such that we can demand a premium in the marketplace? And I think that's why we tend to shy away from this question. But let me give you some thoughts maybe that in doing this for years that might help. So number one, I'll never forget sort of the most painful version of this question I think I ever got was from a head of sales at a food ingredients company. He said, Brent, I've got a part of my company that sells salt. It's not fancy salt. It's not rock salt or kosher salt. It literally comes on a barge. We sell it as a mountain. It is truly and definitionally a commodity. So where is my unique strength in that? And I looked at him and said, I have no idea, because that was the honest answer. But I said, well, think about it this way. And so I'm going to give you a couple tips. Here's tip number one is we have to think broadly. So if we think broadly about what are our unique strengths, sometimes the unique strength of our company, of our solution, doesn't lie in the product or solution itself, like salt. I mean, it is definitionally not unique. But I said, well, maybe just the fact that you mine salt all over the world allows you to reduce your supply chain lines, thus allowing you to provide just-in-time supply like no one else can. Or maybe you have a financial organization that allows financial hedging instruments against a fluctuation in salt prices. At that point, I was kind of making things up. It was a brainstorming exercise. But the point is to think broadly, because many times the unique strength that your company can offer the marketplace may lie in all the adjacent competencies that you've built around the solution. And that's why as you think about your unique strengths, doing that sort of cross-functionally, getting a collaborative team across all the different disciplines of your company together to think creatively about how do you stitch those things together in a way that no one else can becomes, I think, critically important. So once we've sort of thought broadly and kind of identified what are those sometimes small, sometimes very subtle differences that really matter, there's nuance in those differences. Now let's, number two, quantify the benefit of those differences, because they may seem, if they seem nuanced to you, they seem virtually invisible to your customers. So how can we tease out why does that difference really, really matter? Make the business case for that difference, whatever that difference may be between you and your competitors. And then step number three is to then translate those benefits into the language of your customers. So we've got it, it helps save money or make money or whatever it is, but now translate those benefits into the specific outcomes that your customer is trying to achieve. And oh, by the way, if it translates into outcomes that your customers currently aren't trying to achieve, that's where Challenger becomes critically important to teach them that those outcomes are in fact higher priority than they may realize, or in fact teach them that they exist altogether, such that now I can teach them there are things you need to be concerned about, excited about, worried about in your business and around these outcomes. And if you can achieve those outcomes, here's the benefit you can achieve. Here's how to quantify it. And oh, by the way, we're the only company to provide that particular benefit. And then take all that. So once you get all that figured out, so you've got your unique strengths, you've got them quantified, you've got them translated into customer outcomes, don't lead with those benefits. Because now that you've figured out, oh, this is what truly makes us great, let's go tell the world, that's going to be your initial inclination. But in classic Challenger fashion, you want to make sure that you don't lead with those unique strengths, but you lead to them. Because if you go out and tell the world about your very subtle, nuanced strength, they're not going to care. You got to make them care first in the context of their business, and then show them why it matters, and then tell them about your unique strength. This is a tough, tough challenge. You know, we tend to overlook this because this is the hard work of really, truly setting your company apart. And most companies, whether they're medium-sized, large, small, doesn't matter, some of the world-class Fortune 50, I've seen virtually every company I've ever worked with, including the ones I've worked at, struggle with this question. But it is time worth taking, because then that way you can make sure that as you help your customers make better decisions, those decisions ultimately lead back to you and your unique strengths.